the wrestlers who are in it and yourself. That's really cool that you make that distinction. I'm not sure everyone else does, but I think that's really important. It kind of shows how, you're a part of it, they're a part of it, the promotion's a part of it, how all these kind of things are part of what makes this picture, all these different parts, I think it's really interesting that you mentioned it that way.
Well, if I didn't have the access, I wouldn't be able to take pictures. If the guys aren't in the ring doing the amazing things they do, the pictures would look stupid of just an empty ring.
Right.
And, I don't care. I've seen a lot of great fan pictures. I mean, sometimes you get gold from the seat.
Right.
But, it's always good to have someone out there who kind of knows what they're doing, especially working with the video people.
Mm-hmm.
Video is money. Video is what moves the product. So, as a photographer, video has right of way, and they should have right of way.
That's interesting. That's something else. You've mentioned being cognizant of taking pictures of women and the kind of positions that they were in when you were going through the pictures, and now you've talked about being aware of the video and giving the video guys, who are actually filming and producing it, that right of way. What other things do you think are important to consider when you're taking pictures? What other things do you have in mind, as you're doing this, when you're looking to take that shot?
Well, you got to make sure that you're not going to get wiped out. Sometimes that works out better than not. I'm somewhat mindful of the fans as well. I've been a fan, and I've hated having people standing in my way. That's why I've had a good 12 inches from my legs removed, so that I'm short enough to be around the ring without blocking shots. Sometimes there are limitations to where we can be. Most leagues don't let you be on the hard cam.
Right.
Some leagues don't let you be opposite the hard cam.
Okay.
Plus, you have to be, video gets right of way.
Right.
Some leagues have just a couple of photographers, which is cool, but some have a lot of photographers. And you're all trying to vie for space there. So I come out, I mark my territory, and sometimes you're kind of held to one side, which can be annoying to the fans. And if you're one of those fans, I apologize.
Right.
But I do try to stay down as much as possible. Lyle Williams from CZW, he's one of the best I've seen at staying out of the way, but his knees are telling the story now.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, Lyle's been doing it for a very long time, and, I know that, and, what's funny is that, I know he was doing it, but when a show's going on, he's taking pictures, you don't really notice him. And he's a big guy, he's not a little man at all, but it's strange how you almost don't notice him when he's taking the pictures.
Well, Lyle is only about 6 months older than I am, despite the fact that he easily looks like he could be my father. I love Lyle. Lyle is one of the best, and he's these days he's taken a more relaxed approach. He doesn't come out and do most shows, especially CZW. He'll come out and do certain moments, and he likes to hang by the entrances and get some shots. I understand he does Dojo Wars, which is CZW's basically their student show.
Right.
But there's an entire side of the ring up against the wall, so you can stand back there and not block anyone, which is kind of nice. And also one of the reasons I don't go to the Dojo Wars is because I figure it's pretty well covered, and being such a small arena, if you have two people against that wall, then you're only going to be blocking the fans. And as you said, I'm mindful of it. Sometimes there's more that you can do to accommodate them, but they pay their ticket money and they should be able to see the show.
Yeah, and I can see it. That's interesting. I can understand the hard camera sort of things. They don't want you to be that noticeable. You're part of the show, but not really. So they don't want you to distract. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, no, we're not part of the show.
Right.
we're never part of the show. We're something like, really, there's light should not shine on us at all. We do perform a function, but we're not part, and that's one of the rare occasions that it's meant to be. Right. But trying to stay invisible is the best thing you can do around ringside.
That's really good. That's good for people to know too. Like, people who are interested in doing it or, are kind of new. That's really, something, good advice. So I didn't get to ask you, we've kind of jumped into talking about the nuts and bolts of taking pictures, but, we never talked about how did you get involved in and started in taking, wrestling photos? I know you said you started back in 1997. How did that come about?
Well, back in March of 1997, there was a great independent league in this area called New Jack City Wrestling.
Okay.
And New Jack City, I have to tell you, they were so good back then that if they ran a show, like a television repeat, if you can run it live again today, it would still be viable. It would still be accepted. Yeah, they were so far ahead of their time. And one of the things they did was they used ECW wrestlers on Sundays when they did the arena shows on Saturdays.
Right.
And I had just discovered ECW. And on my way to work, I don't know if you're old school enough to remember the old event posters that they used to have in windows.
Right.
The cardboard ones, the WWF ones were white with red lettering.
Yes.
And there was, they usually liquor stores had these things. And I remember after not seeing one for years, I drove by this place and I saw one of the event posters for a new league called New Jack City.
Right.
And they were using ECW guys like Raven, Stevie Richards was on that show. It looked like a great show, so I bought tickets and that show was canceled.
Oh, no.
And because independent shows back then being much less than they are at this point, I found out that New Jack City ran half a mile from my house, and I didn't know.
Wow.
And me, as an avid wrestling fan, one who's always on the lookout for posters, if you ran half a mile from my house and I didn't know, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
So then I found that that show was Tommy Dreamer versus Raven. I was very upset to have missed that.
Right.
So the next show they had in that arena, which was the Freehold National Guard Armory, the next show they had was the Dudleys, Devon just making his appearance in ECW versus Stevie Richards and Raven.
Wow.
Plus the indie guys of the time were the great ones: Ace Starling, Devin Storm, Reckless Youth.
Right.
This was really good wrestling. And they had all these mimeographed, Xeroxed programs. And some of the photos that they had in there were, older promotional photos. Right. And they would have a gimmick like, photo not available if they didn't have one of the workers.
Right.
So since I had started going to their shows and I was sitting in my third row seat, back in the day when it was all film, you used to get your stuff developed at the local, ShopRites or grocery stores, and you always got a double print.
Yes.
So I started giving the New Jack City the copies from the shots that I had taken, which they integrated into their programs. Nice. And so they made me their official photographer.
Oh, cool.
My first match for them was Raven versus Sandman for the ECW belt.
Wow.
Which is a great match to start on.
Right.
And then because Dennis Carluzzo did a joint show with Mike Illians, who was part of New Jack City. I got to know Dennis Carluzzo. Right. It's where I met Steve Carino. So when Steve Carino opened a league in Potsdam, Pennsylvania, called Pennsylvania Wrestling Federation, I was able to say, "Hey, Steve, can I come by?" And he was like, "Sure." And then Rob Feinstein acted as manager on those shows. Okay. So in giving him photos of his managing debut, that's how I got integrated into Ring of Honor.
Oh, interesting.
And, of course, Ring of Honor opened up doors. And that's how, basically, through wrestling being so incestual and networking, that's how I got to do as many shows as I've done. Of course, Gabe, formerly of Ring of Honor, now with Evolve and formerly of Dragon Gate USA, getting to know the guys. Many times the guy has, Chris Hero and Claudio Castagnoli set me up for a show in Philadelphia a few times, where WXW, which is a German league, came over.
Right.
So networking, being nice to people goes a long way. Giving out, especially now that everything's digital.
Right.
I kind of understand when it's filmed because it costs me money to print up a photo to give.
Right.
But now that everything's digital, I can give them a CD or a DVD for a quarter that has, 400 pictures on it. There's no reason not to be, generous with your photos to the guys. Even now, I can email them, and it's free. Yeah. So it's just being nice to people, doing business in the right way. It may not make you money. But, I still have to live with myself at the end of the day.
Right.
And I'm pretty happy to think that I really don't have heat with anyone in the industry. And there aren't a lot of people, let alone photographers, who can say that.
I was going to say, that's very rare. Because I think, I can't really think of anyone else. You might be the only person I know that doesn't have some kind of heat with somebody somewhere.
I don't like Virgil. Does that count?
You don't like Virgil?
Oh, Virgil's heinous. I hate Virgil.
Actually, sounds like he's got heat with you. My God.
What's that?
I was going to say, I think it's maybe the other way around. Maybe he's got some heat with you. I don't know.
I don't think he cares about me enough to have heat with me.
No, that might be true, too.
I've been a victim of his, changing the price on an autograph thing. And
I've heard about that.
There was a time in Wildwood where we had gone. My girlfriend and I had gone to the beach prior to the show. So I was in the arena before doors open and everything, and I've got gym shorts over my bathing suit, and he tries to depants me.
What?
And I knew it was him, so I just kind of reared my foot back and caught him right in the teeth. And turned around and I go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you." But I did.
Well, it sounds like you deserved it. If you're going to randomly pant somebody, I think, you deserve to get kicked in the teeth.
Well, one of the headbangers tried it, but, we were friends.
Oh, let's see, that's different.
Okay, he tried to do it in front of a crowd, though, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. He didn't get the full tuggage that he was looking for. But, he was someone that I joke around with. Virgil, we didn't have that kind of relationship, so I found it somewhat offensive that he would do it at all.
Right.
And as I said, Virgil is probably the only person who I don't like on a personal level, and I don't like his ring work.
Right.
I can love someone and not be a huge fan of their ring work. It's a stylistic choice.
Right.
And on the other hand, there are people who, I may not like personally, but they're great workers.
Right.
But Virgil has that one special spot where I find him to be a deplorable human being and a really lazy worker.
Oh, wow. Now, I wanted to say, we're talking about embarrassing moments, talking about being pantsed and whatnot. What is, as far as being a photographer, what is, your single most embarrassing moment or uncomfortable moment taking pictures? Is there a moment you thought, oh, no, where you, kind of one of those moments where you turn beet red and you're super embarrassed and you can't believe you did that or that happened? Do you have any of those kind of moments?
I've wiped out around the ring. When Jushin Liger first came in for Ring of Honor, apparently there was a lot of commotion around the ring, and I couldn't get out of the way of Samoa Joe coming out of the ring, and I kind of got caught a little bit. But to my defense, apparently one of the Japanese photographers had actually stepped on the back of my calf.
Oh.